Perfect is not a word I use to describe films that often. But with The Way Home, I think it's a pretty great word to use. I'm sure there's room for improvement, as there is with most films. But I found this to be an absolutely amazing experience. For me, with this kind of film, the bar is very, very high because I love this narrative. I know what I want, I know what I look for, and this one absolutely delivered. And of course, I won't spoil anything that happens in this. Please, please don't Google anything before you watch this if you decide to watch it, and I will explain why in a moment. This was released in 2010. It's written and directed by Lance W. Dreesen, and we have a cast including Dean Kim, Tom Nowicki, Matt Lintz, Piers Gagnon, and various others. And I apologise if I've mispronounced any of those names. And this is based on a true story. And a young boy called Joe goes missing, and his parents, Randy and Christal Simpkins, obviously are looking for him, but it's also about the community coming together to try and find him, to locate this little boy. Will they find him? Will he be dead? Will he be alive? I'm not going to say, but as I said, please, 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 please don't Google it. I went into this having never heard of the true story, and I genuinely had no idea where this was going. I had no idea where Joe had went or what had happened to him. And honestly, I'd say for the entire film, it could have gone either way. He could have been alive, he could have been killed, he could have gone off on his own, he could have been taken. There were so many possibilities. Obviously, as the parents are frantically worried about all of these things, it could have gone in any direction. And it meant it was such a gripping, intense experience. And to be fair, for the bulk of the film, not a lot happens. The majority of the film, it's about an hour and a half, the majority of the film is just people trying to find him and the investigation into where he is, the community coming together to try and find him. But because not a lot happens, it means we don't really get that many clues, which means we are left wondering what has happened for such a long time. And I personally found that to be really effective in being a very gripping, engaging, compelling, terrifying, anxiety-inducing narrative. And that's exactly what I wanted from this kind of film. Obviously, the fact that it's based on a true story makes it all the more emotional and challenging to watch. But as a narrative, it is well presented. I did a tiny bit of research afterwards. I couldn't find a tremendous amount. So I don't know if it is exactly like the true story or if all of the characters in this are real people or if there was some creative liberties taken. I don't mind that too much as long as the overarching narrative is the same. And I'm going to assume that that's the case because I've not read anything to the contrary. But it is certainly a very gripping and definitely challenging watch for all of the right reasons with regards to the film and how it's presented. But obviously with that based on truth, that is an absolutely harrowing experience, and that comes across in the performances. The agony of the parents is so easy to feel as a viewer, and again, that makes it really, I'm getting upset thinking about it. The performances are so strong that it's impossible to not feel the pain of the parents and the pain of everybody else as well. Obviously, when a child goes missing, everybody does feel some kind of negative emotion there, but obviously from the parents, it's very powerful. And the performances are so, so strong. Particularly his father. I found that Dean Cain's performance as Randy was the standout for me. Other people gave amazing performances, but his performance in particular made me feel so many emotions that I didn't want to feel, but that I had a feeling I would feel if this was an effective film. And it definitely is. The music is great. The camera work is great. It is painful to watch, but it's absolutely worth it if this kind of narrative is something towards which you typically gravitate. And I will say no more. I don't want to give anything else away. As I said, though, if you do decide to watch this, please, please, please avoid Googling it beforehand. I personally, at least from my perspective, found it to be a more compelling experience because I had no idea what was going to happen. And for me, that worked best. I'm not saying it wouldn't have been as good if I knew the outcome, but I feel like it wouldn't have been as strong an experience. If you were aware of the story already and then you watch this film, I would love to know if it was what you expected. Did it deliver the story in a way that you'd expect? I'd be very keen to hear that. But for me, I thought it was a very powerful, emotional film, very gripping, and as I said at the beginning, for me, with what I was looking for, it was absolutely perfect. Everything delivered in the way that I'd hoped, and ultimately, I probably wouldn't watch it again just because A, it is very emotional, and B, I now know what happens. And for me, part of the gripping aspect of the experience was not knowing where it was going. But despite that, I still think it's a pretty perfect experience. And if it's your kind of film, then I'm very happy to recommend it.